Hello indie game fans, welcome back to I Dream of Indie. This is Ole Gamer Joe with a quick preview today of Eastern Exorcist, releasing into Steam Early Access as of 8/14/2020. The game was developed by Wildfire Game and published by Billy Billy. This is an action-adventure RPG, and when I initially saw the trailer for Eastern Exorcist, I was immediately drawn to the beautiful hand-painted aesthetic of this title, but curious how it would actually play. So now that I've gotten to spend a couple of hours here with the game, I have a better feel for what the actual experience will be like. For one, there's definitely a deeper, more intricate combat system to this title than I was expecting. Outside of simply slashing away at your foes and blocking their attacks, you get some arts abilities as well as the ability to dodge out of the way and rhythmically slash back at the right moment. There's a pretty decent amount of strategy involved to most of these enemy encounters, and the boss encounters too that you'll come across. I took part in 2 of those, and as if just taking down all of these enemies and bosses weren't difficult enough, you also have a stamina bar to contend with. Using too much of your attack will result in depleting that bar, and once it's used up, you won't be able to attack for a while, so you'll have to either block enemy attacks or get as far away as possible from your enemies in hopes of it restoring in time to take them down. And outside of that, you also have to hit the right trigger when you defeat an enemy in this game in order to absorb them. This is an interesting mechanic because if you don't do it in time, the enemy can actually come back and attack you again. The introduction to new mechanics didn't just stop there though. I found the deeper and deeper I got into this game, the more I would get greeted with a tutorial to learn something else. Honestly, I hope the developer doesn't overdo it here and try to tack on too many combat elements, because I really was able to get through a lot of these battles simply by slashing away, backing off for a while, or blocking for a while, and then continually slashing away again. Now granted, I did only play this early access version of the game for a few hours so far, and some of those other gameplay elements could become more important as you get further and further into the game, but as it stands, I felt a little bit overwhelmed, and the way that these tutorials are presented to you are rather bland. They pop up out of nowhere and not well introduced in my opinion. So while I was initially enjoying the combat, simply slashing away at my foes, blocking their attacks, eventually there were so many new elements introduced that I felt a little bit over-encumbered. Now that said, not everyone is like Ole Gamer Joe here. I like things simplistic in my action games, but you might like deeper, more intricate mechanics, so Eastern Exorcist does offer a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. Maybe if the developer can rework things a little bit and introduce these new combat elements in interesting ways, I'll be more willing and wanting to interact with all of the deep intricacies that the game offers. I was also finding that the dialogue in this game was not particularly well written. I do feel like there's a cool world here to be explored. Obviously, the hand-painted visuals look fantastic, but I was disappointed that these characters are so bland and boring thus far. Maybe spice up the writing a little bit, add some character portrait art to make it pop a little bit more. Just some nice around-the-edge refinements would help to bring this universe together. I would also say, even though I didn't particularly mind this, as I mentioned earlier, I like my games a little bit on the simplistic side, the leveling up system in this game, there's really not much to it whatsoever. You simply have enough orbs or you don't, and you click level up and the game does it for you. For those of you that really like to get into the weeds of your characters and update individual statistics, this is something to be aware of. But on the whole, Eastern Exorcist is shaping up to be a pretty cool experience with a deep combat system. I wasn't a fan of all of the intricacies that were introduced, but the art style definitely kept me invested, even though the writing was not where I would like it to be so far. I look forward to jumping back into Eastern Exorcist when it leaves early access, but for those of you that want to jump in early, it is available now on Steam PC, so check it out. We hope that you enjoyed this early access preview of Eastern Exorcist. If you did, consider hitting the subscribe button below to help us bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming. You can also now become a member here at I Dream of Indie, or also check out our merchandise store. However you end up supporting us, we thank you so much for doing so.